And welcome everybody to another episode of Love Up or Shut Up right here on AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, CBJ.
Good evening, Peter. Without further ado, let's talk about a very controversial UFC fight night in Brazil.
Yeah, we've got Bellator and UFC to talk about, but yes, we should move quickly to get these shows under wraps here. Starting with the show in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with Derek Brunson against Lyoto Machida, and this fight didn't last long.
I hate to say I told you so, but I said Machida didn't have it. A 2-year layoff didn't help him. Being this far into his career didn't help him, and Derek Brunson had his number. Halfway through the first round, he knocked him out cold.
And he looked pretty defeated on the stool afterwards.
Yeah, Machida was figuratively and literally done after this fight. I don't know what the future holds, but I don't know if I would keep fighting unless it was maybe a Brazilian card and he was the opening fight against somebody a little less fearsome than Brunson.
So Brunson moves up one spot in the rankings, and Machida, even though he lost, cracks the top 15.
Yeah, he re-enters at number 13 because he was eligible to re-enter the rankings coming off his suspension.
So, I mean, it's rare that you see someone with a loss break into the rankings, but there was the suspension involved, so we're in a situation where, with Machida, do you book him against a top 10 fighter, or do you have him fight someone trying to crack the top 15?
That's what I'm saying is Machida might just be a gatekeeper now, and I don't know if that's the role he really wants, so we'll see what he does after this.
So we move on to the real story of the show, and this was Colby Covington being
a pro wrestling heel. Yeah.
Yeah.
He talked his way into this fight. He talked a lot of trash before the fight to Damian Maia, and then he talked some trash after the fight when he managed to tire Maia out by making him swing wildly at him for the first round, had him gassed out by the third round, got the unanimous decision, then said Brazil was a dump and the people were garbage, and got pelted by literal garbage on his way out of the building and had to have a security detail at his hotel so people wouldn't try to stab him. Colby Covington working up the fans.
And you think we're kidding?
No, we
you
are
think
not.
We're joking.
A bottle hit him in the head on the way out of the building. He was literally public enemy number one in that city.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him having his next fight in Brazil.
Not if it's smart for his own personal safety, no.
And the UFC management are looking at a possible violation of their new code of conduct for this as well.
Right, but to be perfectly fair to him, this is what he learned in his time on Impact Wrestling. He learned how to be a heel. He learned how to talk trash. He's gotten pretty good at it. And now, because of it, we're talking about Colby Covington. So you can say he violated the code of conduct. You can say he acted unbecoming of a fighter and was unprofessional. But now he's number 3 in the world in his weight class, and he's calling out the champion, Tyron Woodley, and he might just get that fight. So all things considered, it kind of works out for him.
True, it does kind of work out for him in the end, but I mean, it's not looking good for him either when it comes to the, how do I say this? Not marketability, but it's like, I mean, there's room, I guess, in mixed martial arts nowadays to be an ass, but to basically put out an apology afterwards saying, I apologize to any filthy animals, like, what are you doing?
It's an insincere apology. It's like saying, I'm sorry that you're such a loser.
So, I kind of want to see his next fight against another Brazilian, because his fight against Damian Maia, it was bloody at the end, and Maia was a bloody mess.
Indeed. So you can't not say that Colby Covington is not worthy of his spot. You can say Colby Covington earned it with that performance, but would he do as well against Tyron Woodley? I don't know. Will we get to find out? Well, he'll just keep talking trash and Tyron will keep talking it back, and I think Tyron needs somebody to draw that out of him, so it may be a good thing.
All right, what about Pedro Munoz and Rob Font?
I thought Font would do a little better here, but he did not. Munoz had his number and choked him out 4 minutes into the first round.
Yeah, this was not Font's night.
No, not even close to it. Impressive showing by Pedro Munoz on the main card here on FS1.
Francisco Trinaldo against Jim Miller. Miller, he's always game for a good fight, and he got a hell of a fight here.
That's true. And he forced it to the judges, and he did win one of those rounds with the judges, but it was a clean sweep for Francisco Trinaldo, 29-28 across the board. And I hate to say it, but it's the same story as Machida. It's been too many years and too many wars, and he's now basically a gatekeeper of the lightweight division. He's always going to be game, and he's always going to put up a good fight, but he's going to give something up to the guys who are a little younger, a little faster, and a little hungrier than him, and they're going to eat his lunch.
And it wasn't a case of someone getting the hometown decision. That was later on in the card.
Yes, indeed. But speaking of not a hometown decision, we didn't need one for Thiago Santos and Jack Hermanson because 10-second clapper hits and Thiago pours it on and gets the TKO with 1 second left to go in the first round.
No, and it was a significant beating in those last 10 seconds where the referee had to think he's not going to survive or be able to come off the stool for the start of the second because these shots were landing pretty darn good.
Right. He'd have been punch drunk and he'd have been out of it, so there was no way he was coming back for another round. It was a good stoppage.
Let's see. You already talked about Hermanson and Santos.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to Lineker and Vera.
Yeah, let's move on to Lineker and Vera. And that one went to a unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28 times 2.
All right, and as far as the prelims are concerned, Luque and Price was a Darce choke at 4-away to the second round. We had a rear naked choke for Antonio Carlos Jr. against Jack Marshman. Hakron Diaz couldn't beat Jared Gordon. Gordon wins by unanimous decision, and Zaleski dos Santos beats Max Griffin with another unanimous decision. Going on to Fight Pass, we had Figueiredo beating Brooks with a split decision that I think was a hometown decision win for Figueiredo because Brooks did not win all 3 rounds, but that's what one judge saw, and the other 2 judges had Figueiredo winning 2 out of 3. I don't think so. I think Brooks won 2 out of 3 on this one.
Well, that's not the hometown decision, so it goes the other way.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's just, I don't know. I just have a problem with that one when there's definitely one judge got it right, and the other 2 judges are like, no, it's the hometown fighter who wins. Like, I don't think so.
I know, you complained about it on Messenger when you saw the fight, so I knew you weren't happy then, and you're still not happy about it now, so that says a lot. But overall, I think this was a good card, because we only had 6 fights go to a decision, and only one was a split decision, so you got plenty of good action on this card.
Oh yeah, and Golem beat Colombo with a rear naked choke in the 208 mark of the first round.
Yes.
So let's move on to Bellator this week, and Bader is in a title defense for the first time.
Yes, indeed. It'll be his very first defense since taking the title from Phil Davis at Bellator NYC. Now, Linton Vassell has challenged for the title before. He fought Emmanuel Newton and took him to the 5th round. Probably won 2 out of those 4 rounds, but then in the 5th round he got sprawled, got rear naked choked, and was done. So now he gets his second chance at the title, coming off 3 straight wins, including a revenge match where he beat Newton, and then he also beat former champion Liam McGarry, so he's knocked off 2 champions, and in the process he actually submitted the jiu-jitsu expert McGarry in the 3rd round. So very strong showing coming into this second chance at the title, but he's facing an incredible wrestler. We saw the level he was at against Phil Davis because Davis tried and couldn't get him off his feet, and Bader, we know that he makes fights interesting by not letting guys who are bigger and longer than him stay at range. He makes guys fight in a phone booth. He makes it a dirty boxing fight. And if you try to overswing at him, he'll just duck under it and double you to the ground. So I'm going to pick Bader by decision, retaining the title.
I mean, I like Vissel, I really do, but Bader is basically at the top of his game right now, and it's going to be a very dull, boring fight. In my opinion, I think it's going to be watch, rinse, repeat, and I hate saying it because, I want it to be an exciting main event, I really do, but Bader's going to do what brought him to the dance, and his wrestling is going to be highlighted here, and he's not going to be able to, he's not going to let Vissel take advantage or take control of the fight. I think he's going to really be in Vissel's face to the point where he's going to, duck a punch and take down, and he'll be so close to him that, he won't let Vissel get, basically, Bader's going to close the gap so many times, he's going to be right up in Vissel's grill to the point where he's going to know what he had for breakfast.
Right on. So let's move on to the next title fight, which is a rematch between Ilima-Lei Macfarlane and Emily Ducote to crown the inaugural flyweight champion. I like Ilima-Lei in this one because her jiu-jitsu is on point, her wrestling and striking have gotten better over time, and Ducote, when they fought the last time, put a little something on her in the first round, but then Macfarlane took over in the next two, and this is a longer fight, so if the same thing happened here, she'd take 4 out of 5 rounds instead of 2 out of 3, and that leads to a lopsided unanimous decision, but I think it's possible that she'll rear naked choke Ducote long before that.
So I got Ducote winning by a knockout here. I think the power, she's going to fine tune it, and she's going to win the fight via knockout, probably in the second round.
I would call that a huge upset if that happens, but we'll find out if you're right on Friday.
Well, that's why I always say you always fight. This is why you fight the fights.
Right, and that's the same reason Phil Davis is fighting Leo Leidy. If he had retained the title at Bellator NYC, this would be a homecoming for him at Bryce Jordan Center in the heart of Penn State. But now he gets to be underneath the champion, looking to get back into title contention, and he's got a tough opponent ahead of him, Leo Leidy, perfect at 10-0, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions in his 10 wins, but he's 39 years old, he's been fighting on the minor league circuit, and he's never faced a guy at Phil Davis level. So I'm going to say Phil Davis out-wrestles him, outstrikes him, and wins this fight.
Okay, so what I would do is say this is the prototypical proving ground fight just because they're both in a position where they need to prove something. Davis needs to come back off that loss and really show his dominant side. His opponent, yes, 10-0, but he's 39. He's a legacy fighting champion in 2 weight classes, but he's fighting Phil Davis. So it's going to be both fighters wanting to prove something on this show. The winner of this fight will be higher on the next Bellator card that he's on. The loser, I don't know. If Davis loses this fight, I mean, that would be something. That would definitely be something to write home about. If Davis wins, I mean, you could make the argument of being back in contention for that title.
That's true. And I think that may be very well where we're going here is a third fight between him and Bader, but they both have to win for that to happen. So in the meantime, let's talk about the altar boy Zach Freeman and Sadawad at 155 pounds. Now, Freeman was also on that Bellator NYC card.
I just want to interrupt you for 1 second, Freebie, because I have an idea.
Yeah?
Bellator doesn't like doing trilogies.
No, no, they've never done them. No, not at all.
I think that's long-term booking that Bellator's shown time and time again. It's definitely in their playbook.
Right, so maybe we have a trilogy fight down the road between Freeman and Awad, but first we have Awad beating Freeman, and that's the reason I'm saying that is because Freeman put on a very impressive performance at Bellator NYC, but he was fighting a guy who had no pro experience in Aaron Pico. And we saw Pico rebound from that first fight and do very well in his second fight. Now he's facing Sadawad, a guy who has 29 fights, and he's 9-2, and his opponent's 20-9. So let's just give Sadawad that credit and say experience wins today here. He's got very heavy hands. I know Freeman is a great jiu-jitsu expert, and if he got him to the ground, he'd have a chance to submit him. But a lot of people have tried that before, and Awad's not a rookie. He's not a spring chicken. So I think it probably is a very close fight, and Freeman will give a great account for himself. But I don't think he beats the veteran Awad here. And if he tries to go for the wrestling and take him down, I think we'll see the same thing that Awad did to Ryan Quinn. He'll just sweep him and get on top.
Sweep the leg, Johnny?
Yes, sweep the leg, but on the ground.
On the ground, exactly. Yeah, I have to go with Awad on this one as well. Freeman, Pico wasn't the same fighter he is now. And that's saying a lot because there's only one fight difference. But we saw a much better Pico in that second fight.
Yes, indeed.
Awad, man, that's a scary fighter.
Oh, yeah. He's got a metal plate in his hand. So this guy hits hard. He's hit so hard he's bent that plate. So that's a left hand of bionic doom. You don't want to be touched with it. Will Brooks knows that all too well.
And remember, we have the technology.
Yeah, we do. And speaking of technology, Ed Ruth is the technologically advanced Penn State wrestler coming in here against Chris Dempsey, former UFC fighter who has been knocked out in 3 straight fights. So I think this is a setup fight for Ed Ruth to look impressive.
It could go the distance, but it won't.
Yeah, I suspect Ed Ruth grounds and pounds his way to a TKO win.
All right, so what else do we have here on the prelims? There was one fight here that I saw that was quite interesting, but I'm not sure if we're going to see it. That's the problem. I think it was the Healy fight.
Oh, yeah, I think that'll be on Spike.com, but I won't guarantee it.
Yeah, when it comes to the prelims for Bellator, I know there's an app coming out soon.
Yes.
Or it might already be out.
Yes.
That'd be the place to see it.
Yes, get your iOS or Android-enabled device, and you can watch the Bellator prelims live and free around the world. No geo-blocking.
Thank God for that. All right, so let's quickly. This is a quick show, everybody, and we'll explain at the end of the show. But let's go right to the main event of this show, and that's going to be the UFC returning to Madison Square Garden with a fighter from England and a fighter from Canada.
That's right, Michael Bisping defending the middleweight title against the former welterweight champion George St-Pierre, coming off a 4-year layoff. And the odds on this one are almost a coin flip, and there are many reasons for that. Bisping is a little long in the tooth, one of the most tenured UFC fighters, been there since 2006, been in a great many wars over the years, has a detached retina in one eye as a result of those many wars. Whereas George, coming off a 4-year layoff and coming up in weight, you have to ask the question, is he still as good as he was in his prime as the welterweight champion? Nobody knows. That is the unanswered question. So there's vulnerable parts to both men's performances. I'm still going to just narrowly edge out my pick for GSP. I'm going to say it goes to the judges. 1 probably for Bisping, 2 for GSP, so it will be controversial.
I mean, there's a lot of factors you could look at for this fight, but, you know, I think GSP, I mean, we haven't seen him at this weight class, and he had the 4-year layoff, but Bisping, I mean, he is, if he wins this fight, will be the only fighter to beat both GSP and Anderson Silva.
That's a hell of a feather in his cap, but so is being the champion at this point in his career anyway, which was his lifelong goal, and he achieved it with Rockhold. So even if he loses here, no disgrace. He's accomplished everything that he ever set out to do.
I think GSP wins here in the 4th round just because he has a way to focus on an eye, for example. And we know Bisping's one bad eye that, you know, he might do more damage, and this fight could be stopped early. I'm going to say 4th round stoppage for GSP winning here.
Well, we'll find out on Saturday night, but we've got 2 more title fights to talk about, so let's get to it.
Yeah, we've got the co-main event here with 2 former tough coaches, Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw.
This is the divided Team Alpha Male because Dillashaw left and went to Colorado. Garbrandt stayed loyal, stayed with the team. These two had a war of words on Ultimate Fighter. Now they're going to have a war of hands in the octagon. And even though Dillashaw is a former champion and a very durable fighter in his own right, I'm going to play a little bit of MMA math here because we had Dominic Cruz beating Dillashaw to take the title from him, and we had Cody Garbrandt beating Dominic Cruz to take the title from him. So I'm going to say Garbrandt beats Cruz beats Dillashaw, therefore Garbrandt wins. I know MMA math is bad in general, but this is my logic for picking this fight.
So I've got TJ Dillashaw winning this fight because I think when they were teammates, he helped Cody a lot, but he didn't show him everything. And I think there's something in that playbook that will lead to TJ winning this fight. You know, I'm going to lean more towards a stoppage in this one as well, but I think it'll come in the 5th round. But I won't be surprised if it goes to the judges, but TJ Dillashaw wins this fight.
Well, like you say, that's why they fight the fights, and that's also why we're going to see a flyweight fight. We're going to see, or strawweight fight. We're going to see the defending champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, taking on Thug Rose Namajunas. And there are some very long lines for this fight because we've got Namajunas being plus 600, the champion being minus 450. Hate to say it, but I do like those odds, and I really like Thug Rose. I'm a big fan of hers. I think her submission skills are really special. I think her personality is outstanding. But as you would say, Peter, Joanna's just on another level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't want to be in the cage with her, that's for damn sure. And I'm really not sure who's going to stop her. I don't think Rose is. But it's going to be a good fight to watch because it might... I think it's going to surprise some people the longer this fight goes. It's not going to be a cakewalk, that's for damn sure.
But the one thing we know about Joanna is the longer fights go, the better she gets. She gets stronger in the later rounds.
But I don't see her getting smoked in 10 seconds either.
No, I think Thug Rose will acquit herself well. I just don't see her becoming the champion on this night.
No, I really don't. And, I mean, we've got a hell of a fight card here because our next fight is Jorge Masvidal and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
That's right, and this is one that makes it very, very interesting in the rankings department because, as we already noted, Colby Covington is knocking on that door wanting Tyron Woodley. Stephen Thompson's already had 2 chances at it, but he is ranked above Covington right now. So if he loses, that gives basically the title shot to Colby Covington. But if he wins, how do you do a third fight when they've had 1 draw and 1 where he got beat? So you got to think that the person with the most to lose on this card is Wonderboy. The person with the most to gain is Masvidal because he can enter the title picture immediately. I just don't see that happening. I think Wonderboy hits him with a spinning back fist or a spinning heel hook kick and knocks him out.
Yeah, another trilogy fight's all we need.
Yeah, I know.
But, I mean, a tie and a win, I can see a trilogy for that one. But he has to get through Masvidal, which is never easy.
No, they don't call him game bred for nothing. He's tough.
Now, what about Johnny Hendricks here? Is this his swan song, or does he have a chance here?
No, the odds makers have Oachina as a favorite. Not a heavy favorite, but a favorite. And that makes sense to me because Hendricks didn't look good in the fight with Tim Boesch, and Boachena is undefeated and has knocked out several people in a row, and I think that's bad news for Hendricks because, let's be honest, ever since that GSP fight where he arguably could have won the title but didn't get the decision, I don't think he's been the same ever since.
You see, I think Big Rig, he's going to surprise some people. I think this is going to be his comeback fight because if he loses this fight, like his back's against the wall on this one, and I think a dangerous Johnny Hendricks with something to prove if he can make weight.
Yeah, there's one of the problems is Johnny Hendricks does not manage his weight well.
So, I mean, we could see Hendricks come back to a knockout victory here, and I think he will win this fight by knockout.
Nope,
But
I'm going with Boachina all the way.
yeah, I'm going with Hendricks on this one.
All right.
What else we have here? We've got. Oh man, take your pick for prelim fights. This is a who's who on this one. James Vick and Joseph Duffy. Oof.
Yeah, the guy who beat Conor McGregor versus the Texecutioner, so that'll be a fun lightweight scrap.
Mark Godbeer and Walt Harris.
Yeah, I believe Walt Harris is the favorite there, and Godbeer is a durable fighter, but probably not on Harris's level.
Let's see. We saw that OSP and Anderson are now been promoted to the this portion of the prelims.
That's right. I'm sure OSP would like to be a little higher up in there, but I'll pick him over Anderson. Why not?
And Randy Brown against some guy named Mickey Gall.
Yeah, the guy who beat CM Punk, although his opponent is actually the favorite. I believe it's like plus 120 for Mickey Gall and minus 100 for his opponent.
All right. So as far as other fights here, I mean, Ricardo Ramos and Alman Zahabi, Curtis Blades and Alexei Olenek, and Ion Kudalaba against Mikhail Oleg. How did you say that last time?
I have no idea, but the fight that I'm looking forward to the most out of all of those is definitely the Alexei Olenek fight. That should be a lot of fun.
It's probably Oles Sujuk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Polish name or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's going to be a very entertaining show in Madison Square Garden. I saw a story that they are selling tickets with 25% off. I guess not. I'm thinking it's more just they put the price too high for the cheap seats, or maybe they just want to have a fuller building. But it's not uncommon for Madison Square to do this. I think the ticket prices were a little too high the first time around. And I think the week of the fight, they might want to say, let's knock the prices down, get more people in the building.
And I think they'll get some walk-up last-minute ticket sales, because they'll get people on a Saturday night with some money to spend and nothing to do, and they'll go, hey, guess what? Bisping and GSP, let's go see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you can do anything else in New York City.
Oh, I know. You got lots of entertainment choices. You know what? I'm just going to say that'll still draw some people.
Yeah, they got they got a crap baseball team, though. Sorry, Mark.
Well. So that's going to do it for Glove for Shut Up this week, right, Peter?
Absolutely. Stevie, you want to explain why this show is a little rushed this week?
Well, we had a little bit of a technical snafu, and our first version of the show has gone somewhere, and we don't know where, but it is unable to be located. So this is our remix of our earlier edition, which is why some of this may sound a little rehearsed, because we've already said it once.
Now, here's something to think about, folks. This is, as far as I can remember, the second time in the history of the podcast we've had to do this.
Yes, so not bad for 300-plus shows and only having 2 redos. I think that's a pretty good record.
Absolutely. Well, Stevie, what's on tap for Thursday Night AMP?
3 WWE wrestlers got released, and there's a Power Struggle New Japan card, and there's a little thing you're going to on Sunday called Bound for Glory, where you may actually see Colby Covington and some of the other American Top Team fighters.
Maybe I'll start a Filthy Animal chant.
Yeah, why not?
But Bobby Lashley, Stephen Bonner, Dan Lambert will be there. It's definitely an MMA-centric for one of the matches, so it'd be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, so have a good time and give us a report next week on Glove Up or Shut Up. We'll be dying to hear what you saw.
Well, for Stevie J, I'm Peter H., the Hardcore Canadian. Thanks for listening, and as I always say, never leave it to the judges. Good night, everybody.
See ya.